Hey guys, how's it going? Jay here. Welcome back to the channel. And if this is your first time here, welcome. This is where we talk about hi-fi stuff. So if you're interested in audiophile, hi-fi, and how to improve your music and your musical journey and all that stuff, then consider subscribing. Now, today, real hi-fi talk. It's a little bit of a touchy subject. And I wouldn't say there's too many surprises here, but number one, and we'll start with the spicy one. Well, no shit, Jay. The bigger the channel, the more revenue from YouTube, etc. Of course there's more revenue. Well, I'm not exactly talking about the obvious, which is, the bigger the channel, the more revenue from YouTube, the more views you get, the more revenue from YouTube, etc. What I'm really talking about here is that some YouTubers or YouTube reviewers will position themselves a little bit differently. I mean, each publication, including YouTube reviewers, have different policies in their own mind that aligns with their ethics and so on. So some may accept commission or in the form of affiliate links or so on, and some may accept sponsorships. Some may accept other forms of payment for their services and reviews. And you may be thinking, oh my god, unethical, reviewers, accepting money for anything, period. Well, some reviewers, like myself, work in a little bit different way where we have Patreons to support the channel on top of YouTube revenue to kind of sway off away from that a little bit. But the main thing is everyone works differently. Not everyone publishes how they work. And the main thing here I want to really address is it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And the reason being is when you go to a doctor, when you go to any type of professional, and you can argue that YouTube reviewers are not professionals, but that's besides the point. You go to any professional, then you pay for their expertise. They get paid for their job. So in each of their own ways, they're trying to make money or make this into their full-time job or worth their while, really. And to be honest, most of the reviewers that I've talked to and encountered, really, when they talk about revenue, they're not talking about, oh, how do we make this into a business that makes bank so we can afford our house? Well, they're in the wrong business if that was their goal coming into this. Most of us actually look ways to make ethical income to sustain what we're doing, which is what we love, reviewing hi-fi gear. Personally, we don't do affiliate links or commissions just because I don't find it ethical. So it really depends on the publication, not just YouTube, but just publications in general. It depends on their ethic line, what aligns with their ethics and policies. So as long as you find that out and you are aligned with their ethics and policies, then that should be fine for you as the viewer. And let's be real, looking at the grand scheme of YouTube, literally you see other industries that have millions of views, hundreds and thousands of views on reviews, and reviewers that have, millions of followers. Hi-fi is not like that. It's mostly small channels because it's very niche. And for the views you get very little income from YouTube itself. And again, looking at the grand scheme of YouTube, a lot of influencers with hundreds and thousands of, millions of subscribers use affiliate links as source of their income on their side, and they do it bluntly. And it's not much of a problem in those industries than it is in hi-fi. Now, some reviewers take longer with reviews because they have the product in hand for longer, spend more time with it to make sure that their assessment is correct and truth to whatever they're saying on camera to their viewers. And I find this to be very important, but there are some reviewers that push out relatively fast because they're a bigger channel. They just want to keep posting videos, and just because how YouTube works in terms of its algorithm of posting daily. So for example, I've been doing daily videos for the last 4 days now, and that has, admittedly, I will be blunt, it has increased my viewership, it has increased my subscribership quite significantly. So just because of that, some people may push out reviews quite fast, and this also allows them to leverage again their income to where it is sustainable to run a YouTube channel talking about hi-fi. So I can't speak for others, but on this channel, it's a pretty long process because I'm a believer that you have to live with the gear to actually understand the full potential of the gear. So the process goes like this. When we receive the gear, we unbox it, we put it in the queue room. We have a room where we put all the speakers unboxed so that we don't have to unbox it at the time of the review. And then we bring it to the main listening room when it's time for the review to be reviewed. And then at that time, if it's a speaker, for example, we match it with every DAC combination with every amplifier that we have on hand and every amplifier that we have in hand. So we match it with many different combinations to find out what the speaker requires to sound good, what matches good with the equipment, what price range of gear does it make sense to match with the speaker and sound good. Where is the top line where it starts to fall off? And in doing so, we also play about 300 to 500 tracks at times. So we have a list of tracks that we play. And these tracks include the tracks that we always play and tracks that we added to the playlist as well from recommendation from Patreons and so on. And of course, when it comes to speakers, we try this with multiple different positions as well, not just one. And when we are listening and evaluating the music, we don't just gather our thoughts because we know that audio memory is short term. So we actually take notes to make sure that we don't forget anything that we have evaluated. And also, it's a very kind of an interesting process and a time-consuming process because if you're reviewing an amplifier, for example, you want to isolate the amplifier, meaning that you want to make sure that what you're hearing, the difference you're hearing, is due to the amplifier and nothing else in the system. So this involves keeping the DAC the same, the streamer the same, the source of the music same, everything else the same but the amplifier, and then you switch it out to a different amplifier to kind of evaluate. So it's a very involving process and it's a time-consuming process, at least here. And obviously, this process is not something that people have in their mind when they see my review. Often they don't know this is happening. So, and I'm not sure you really care, but at least it gives me, a peace of mind that I'm not pulling stuff out of my asses and, a more reason to stand behind my reviews and what I say in my reviews and embrace it fully. So yes, reviewers are happy when you purchase gear that they reviewed and recommended. But that's not because you get a cut from it, and now some reviewers do get, go by the commission and affiliate links, but it has less to do with the money, at least for me. I can't speak for everyone, but at least for me and many of the reviewers that I've talked to, it's more of a gratifying and validation kind of thing. It's not like, oh my God, they're selling so well, I'm gonna make bank. It's more, my reviews mean something to these people. And it's a way of validating that when someone trusts your reviews and purchase the product for themselves, and you're also excited at the same time. And I say this to multiple people who buy the product that I recommend to let me know what you think. And it's such a gratifying experience when the viewer actually reaches out to you and, says, wow, this was amazing. Thank you for recommending it. It has really improved my system. It has improved my musical journey. That is the reason why reviewers are happy when you purchase a product. Not so much because they're making a lot of money and they're like, ha 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 ha. So this is true. Some reviewers are less enthusiastic about the gear and the sound and music, and that's because when there's few reasons that I can speculate, but it has happened to me and it has happened to many of the reviewers that I know as well. And one reason is burnout. So when you go through a lot of gear and you listen and evaluate and put in the work that you do, sometimes you get tired and sometimes you just can't focus, and so you experience burnout. Like you don't want to do it anymore for some time. You're still passionate about it, but you're just not feeling it, and it happens to everybody. I'm sure that you go to your job and sometimes you just can't do the work because you have so much on your mind. You just don't want to do it. you have those days. Also, the second reason I think is because we get jaded, meaning, we listen to a lot of good stuff. This happened to me when I was working in the high-end retail business as well. You get jaded when you hear really good stuff for, a long period of time. You begin to go like, yeah, another $5,000 product, even though your bank account. I always say this to my friends, it's like we see so many gear in here that is, well above my bank account. I don't know if I should say this, but that it's like working in a bank, right? You work with money all the time that you don't realize the value of money. It's happened to actually my uncle who used to work in a bank before. So it's the same thing like that, where you see all these high-end products that you really can't afford, but they seem like nothing at one point. And you're like, yeah. And you don't get as excited about the product than you really should. So this is really a personal attack against myself, mostly, but a lot of reviewers, including myself on YouTube, are not really themselves when they're on camera. I mean, you have to realize, I think you guys heard this multiple times, but it's kind of hard to talk to a camera. And so I kind of try to, these days, I'm trying to be myself more on camera. And I think, Zero Fidelity, Sean has said that I am more myself on these kind of videos now. But, I kind of try to imagine the Patreons that I talk to, some of the, viewers that comment in the comment section and stuff like that, and pretend that I'm talking to them. But realistically, you're kind of insane because you're talking to a camera. So it's kind of hard to be yourself when you're on camera because you feel like you're doing a presentation and you feel like you got to be like stiff. And also when you have things on your mind that you took notes of for reviews, things that you have to get across, things that you don't want to miss. Sometimes that's all in your head and you just gotta, and I'm trying to be objective at the same time, it's a fine balance that you have to walk on between subjectivity and objectivity and all that stuff. So it's a very jumble in the reviewer's mind when they're on camera. So yes, for that reason, sometimes they may not be, their themselves, their personal selves when they're talking to a camera. But the other reason really lies when, they try to go for, and I know some reviewers do this, go for some type of persona. So they're trying to keep this persona of being professional or being this crazy guy or, whatever it is. They're trying to keep this persona so that they seem in such a way to their viewers. Some reviewers position themselves to be more kind of like ethical all the time and professional all the time, and that kind of gives them leverage to seem more ethical and someone that they can be trusted. And I have no problem against that. I think that's a good, approach, because realistically, there's no rule that you have to be yourself on camera. There's no rule. I mean, it's more comfortable to be yourself on camera, yes, but there's no rule that you have to be. So if they want to go with that persona to seem more personable and someone that can be related to and someone that can be trusted, then that's all to those people, and that I have no problems with that. That is just perfectly a smart approach in my opinion. So throughout this video, you may have, some of the stuff I said, you may have hit you really hard. You'll be like, wow, really? Some reviewers are like that. Some reviewers, actually have a persona going for them, to appear such a way. Are they lying to us? Who are they really? Or oh really? Some of them are really making a lot of money, more than others. Oh my God, that's so unethical. Many things can be going through your head, but just remember this. Nobody is doing hi-fi YouTube videos to make bank. And if that was their intention, they're seriously in the wrong niche, because it's such a small niche, Let me give you an example. So my girlfriend and I were talking the other day, and I told her, you should start a YouTube channel. and because you're really good at gaming, and she loves gaming and art and digital art and stuff like that. And that is such a bigger audience than hi-fi. And so I was doing some research for her in that niche, in gaming and digital design, art and stuff like that, to see what the potentials were, how long did, this person take, to, get, 100,000, 300,000, 500,000 subscribers. And some of these people got like, 500,000 subscribers in like, a year. And that is insane. Just look at the car reviews. Incredible. So anyone that's doing a hi-fi reviews, in my opinion, is well-intentioned and really wants to do this because they're passionate. There has to be some passion and enthusiasm going on, at least in my opinion, to be doing this, because they could be doing anything else than audio. And if you're like, well, anyone can do audio, that's why they're doing it, because, audio is so easy, you don't have to know anything. Well, that's not entirely true. And also, really, there's a lot of things on YouTube that you can do without knowing absolutely nothing, like filming cats, filming your cat's daily cat. I mean, those videos will get you a lot more views, than here's my amplifier. So there you have it. If this video was helpful to you, consider subscribing and also consider helping us on our Patreon so we can keep doing these honest videos and reviews in the future. Later.